What's up, you little sluts? Welcome back to Babblings. We're outside, you guys. Oh my god, it looks so pretty behind me. I'm outside. It's a beautiful summer night. I'm purposely not using my microphone because I wanted you guys to be able to hear the birds and to hear just like the little scurries and like the wind chimes. I'm in like one of my favorite places, which is my aunt's backyard, and it's Ohio, and it's still like very mild weather. It hasn't gotten too hot and swampy yet, so I'm just like, I'm living my best life. It's so beautiful out right now. It's been a minute since I put out a podcast. I've definitely been like posting on the blog, but the podcast has been a little neglected just because my life has been like just a bit crazy. Like, I don't know, you guys. I am in the midst of like manifesting something, and I don't really even know if I know completely what I'm manifesting yet, but I know what it feels like. And I'm just in this limbo. I'm like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and then all of these things have come to a head. A bunch of things like kind of came to the head at the end of May and very beginning of June, and now I've moved, and like all my stuff is in storage. Like I'm in a really crazy place, but I'm like really happy because I think that I've been planning some life changes, like probably since even like September, but definitely since like this past December. And with all of these changes and all of these ideas that I have, I've been asking myself a lot, like, okay, Allie, but what do you want out of all of this? Out of this new like career move, or out of moving, or out of, you know, whatever this like plans that I've been making, what do you want out of it? And a big thing that I realized that I was asking for, and that I was asking the universe for, was like freedom. And not in the way that you expect, of course, and definitely a little rougher than I would have loved, but I'm getting that freedom. I'm getting that freedom from having to be somewhere 9 to 5. I have freedom from like, I'm not attached to a lease right now. Like, is the kitty outside? Oh, okay. There's just like a lot going on. There's a lot up in the air, and I'm happy about it. Like, it's exciting to me. Like, my Sagittarius rising and my Aries Venus love a fucking adventure, and you know, it takes someone who is really like a planner like me, and I'm actually a very strategic person in my life. But I think it takes someone who is really strategic and is really a planner to be able to have no plan and like pull off magic. Because when it comes down to it, I would be decisive. I'm also decisive. It just has to come in front of like what I want. Just has to like come to me. I have to manifest it, or it has to like present itself to me, and then I know. But I'm picky until what I want manifests. So that's like in all areas of life, like a house, a relationship, a job, a car, anything. Like, I'm a little picky because when I know it's what I'm supposed to have, like, I know it, and then I'll like pull the trigger easy. So that's kind of where I am right now. I'm just kind of floating, and it's hard a little bit because while I'm like floating and like trying to figure out life, there's also this like duality of just like the world feeling like it's on fire around us, and it always feels like it's on fire, but just like especially lately, it's June 14th 2025 as I'm recording this, and today was like the military parade in DC, and this past week there's just been craziness going on in LA, and not even like craziness as far as the protests that are going on, because largely the protests that are happening in LA are peaceful. Like, it's really like the media is really trying to paint it as like these really crazy riots, but like you can see from people's firsthand footage that it's not really what's happening, especially like for the majority. the craziness is the way that the administration is reacting to it and sending the Marines and sending the National Guard. The governor of California suing the administration because of, you know, the measures that they're taking and the way that they're reacting and trying to, like, oh, what was... I have a leaf in my hair. Sorry. My hair is getting frizzier the longer I'm out here. It's like getting bigger and bigger. On the Substack, I have like a section of a newsletter called Live from the End Times, which I'm also going to probably name this episode after. And the first piece that I like wrote for it was called Let the Dreams Die, and it was kind of me talking through this like revelation that I had when I was thinking about, you know, interior design and my dream home and what that would be like, and, you know, partnering with an interior designer and refining my style and like just being like, you know, daydreaming one day about like a future planned, you know, far down the road, and also at the same time like really realizing, wow, you know, that's probably not a probability. That like dream home, you know, I'm probably not going to be able to live that experience that, you know, I think many of us assume that we will or aspire to have. I mean, it's like, how do you reconcile, you know, like, oh yeah, in 20 years I'm gonna build my dream home, da 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 da, when also it's like, okay, but also like we're running out of water, and we're gonna probably have to get like rations of water and electricity, and the, you know, the world is literally like on fire, and democracy is crumbling, and da 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 da, like, but also like accepting that. And I think that a lot of us have some work to do, and I certainly do still too, on accepting that life is not going to keep looking the same way, whether that be because of, you know, not even just the government in the United States, but governments across the world, if that means war, if that means resource scarcity, more intense like and erratic seasonal changes, and hotter summers and warmer winters, increasing like major impact and damage from like the increase in severity of natural disasters and storm systems. Like, how do I deal with that? How do I swallow that? How do I prepare for that? How do I process that and prepare myself for those potentials, while also simultaneously wanting to have what feel like these like superficial goals? Even the thought of me like in planning and like wanting to go back to school. Like, am I going back to school? Like, that's great to plan and that's super exciting, and this is like a really like fun goal to have, but like, am I gonna even be able to like get funding to go back to school? Will federal funding still be a thing? And if that, while I'm in school, like, will things start getting shut down? Like, what will that even look like? Is there even still a semblance of, you know, the dream that I was, or the goals or the future or the life that I was like told I would have, and resources I maybe wasn't told but just assumed, and privileges that I assumed I would always have, like air conditioning or food or water? Like, how do we reconcile? How do we live in both worlds when all of this violence is happening around the world, and people are continuously being terrorized, and but also at the same time, like, I have to go to work and I have to make money, and I have to, you know, like, put a roof over my head? How do I combine? How do I live in both realities? And we do, and a lot of us do, and it's exhausting, because it does feel like, you know, the instinct of survival, of course, is going to take over. So that means the, you know, autopilot and going to work and paying the bills and focusing on yourself and your next move, almost being in like a frozen stasis of just like the same old in order to like, I don't know, like, because like what else can you do? Well, I guess what else can you do unless you're gonna give up your comforts? And maybe, you know, that's what I need to work on. Maybe I need to really reconcile with like giving up some comforts I have in my life in order to also face the reality of what's going on in the world and what like so many other people are facing. I don't know, it's hard, but that's why I titled it Let the Dreams Die, because I really did let that dream, you know, of that dream house and the dream decor die, because I think I have to be realistic with myself and like what resources I'm gonna have access to. And say none of this was even going on, if we're just talking about economically, how would I ever buy a house? In what world am I making enough money to cover all of my expenses, also just like enjoy my life and have a savings and like a house savings to do a down payment? Like, in what world am I gonna be able to do that and also like build a perfect credit? Like, living paycheck to paycheck is mentally exhausting, for one, but also keeps us in this hamster wheel that's so hard to get out of. So it's like, even if all of these other things weren't going on, if it was just the hamster wheel of like living paycheck to paycheck, like, do I let those dreams die too? Do I, you know, let the dreams die of like me having kids? Do I want kids who are gonna have to like fight for water? Is that selfish of me to bring them into the world really to fulfill something that I want, and bring them into a world where they're then going to have to fight for these resources and not have the privilege of comforts that I've had, not automatically, you know, always have a roof over their head and being in comfortable temperatures and like having food? How do I combine like the dreams of like wanting to build a life with someone while also knowing that I need to like really invest in community? And like, it could be like, who is it safe to bring people into your community? Like, is it, I don't know, there's just so much. There's just so much. And then, you know, no, I'm not catastrophizing, I'm not fear-mongering, I'm not like, what's the word? I don't know, I can't think of the fucking word, but I'm not over-exaggerating. Like, the science is science. Like, I was gonna say, like, is it like dramatic of me, or like, am I, what's the word? It's like not over-exaggerating and not like, not catastrophizing, not like hyper-analyzing. Like, I don't know, I wish somebody was gonna fucking tell me. I wish you guys could talk to me. I guess over-exaggerating is maybe the closest to the word that I'm trying to think of, but I'm not over-exaggerating. You know, I think there are real crises that I'm gonna see in my lifetime, that we're gonna see in our lifetime, that our children will have to face. Like, I don't know, and it sucks, and it's real, but this is like real shit, you know? Like, this isn't like, but this is also why like I have a hard time like dating people too, because like, this is what the fuck is going on in my head. How can I even like think about like fantasize about our life and without taking into consideration like all of this fucking shit? How do we like live our lives when we're also just like fucking scared all the time. I feel like I'm 27 and I don't know, and I see people around me and I see them building lives and I'm excited for everybody, but I'm also like, the lives are worth building. Like, it's not worth not trying. It's not worth not trying, but also at the same time we have to know, like, what are we trying for? And is it fair? And like, decisions we make and creating our future right now could be really impactful, especially like, I think a big thing for me is like the kids thing. I don't know. Are we just supposed to like continue trucking along and down like this like traditional path, or like build this like pretend sense of like secure life that we're all like have been forced down our throat? Are we just like supposed to keep chucking along until like the literal earth cracks beneath us, until like the train literally falls off the tracks? And trust me, I believe in like protesting and fighting back and fighting the system and like trying to do change and like change for the better. But I'm also like really realistic, and I know nothing in this country, and I'm in the United States, like nothing in this country is going to change until every single person is uncomfortable. And I don't even know if I'm that uncomfortable yet. I know I'm uncomfortable, but am I that uncomfortable? These are the conversations that I'm having with myself. And it feels like we're living in the end times, and we are. And I don't think like tomorrow the world's gonna end. And like I, was listening to Nia Ola. She has a really great TikTok. I'll link it below. And she talks a lot about like the water and the electricity scarcity and like the reality of what we could be facing in the future, and like what we need to like really wrap our minds around. But one of the things she said was how, it's not going to be, I think it was her. If it's not and it's somebody else, I'll link both of them below, obviously. It's not going to just be like, we're not going to like go out like the dinosaurs, like it's not going to be just like one thing and then like boom, like it's an apocalypse and we're all dead. Like, that's not what's going to happen. It's going to be like a slow death. We're going to starve to death. Potentially. If we don't have like our own ways of like creating our own resources, or like surviving that, the lack of resources. So it's not like, oh well, I'll just sit around and wait for the apocalypse and I won't have to worry about it anymore. Like, that's not what's gonna happen. You're gonna like be miserable. We're gonna like we could like end up living like these miserable lives. I don't know. There's parts of me, I think, that just are so dominant. Like like I have such dominant personality traits about being prepared and wanting to be prepared and preparing myself like emotionally, physically, like in any way that I can, being prepared for different outcomes. And I want to be prepared. I don't want to be blindsided. I don't want to one day wake up and the world is completely different and I wasn't ready for it to happen. Maybe that's what I'm scared of. I don't know. I'm scared of the people that I love being hurt, and I want, and I do want good for the good of all and the greater good, and I believe in change, but I think we're at the very beginning of, it takes so long for empires to fall or for world wars to even happen. You know, it takes so long, and I think we're at the very beginning, we're at the very tip of the iceberg, that could last hundreds more years, you know, dismantling the system. And I do think like goodness and positivity and love prevail, but there's a cost before it does. And we might be the generation, or live in the lifetime, or be one of many that bear the cost of complete tearing down and reassembling, the consequences of humanity's decisions of the last, 1,000 years. Chickens come home to roost. And, people talk about moving and, getting out and going to a different country. And, and of course I think about that too, but that's also why it's like, who wants to leave their home? And all the stuff with immigration going on right now, think any of those people really wanted to leave their country if they didn't have to? If it wasn't a necessity in order to, like, at least attempt to live a better life? Do people don't want to, like, leave their families? No. And it's devastating, which, like, by the way, like, let's be fucking clear. Like, ICE can get fucked, the police can get fucked, the military can get fucked. Like, the United States is a fucking made-up place. Borders aren't real. Like, I'm saying abolish borders. Like, get the fuck out of here. It's disgusting and despicable what they're doing to people right now. Being an immigrant in general, but specifically, like, being an immigrant isn't a crime, and being an illegal immigrant is still definitely not a criminal offense, civil offense. Like jaywalking. Are you gonna come and, like, hide out and, like, trick me in, like, a restaurant and then, like, arrest me because I, like, jaywalked? Like, I'm gonna jaywalk and you're gonna follow me home and pretend to be somebody you're not and come inside and, like, kidnap me from my family? Like, that's what's going on. And to be clear, again, white men commit the most crimes in the United States of America. Y'all are worried about the immigrants down. Y'all are worried about, whoever down the street. You need to be worried about your pastor. You need to be worried about your brother, your husband. You need to be worried about your son's football coach, your daughter's cheerleading coach. Like, you need to be worried about the youth minister. You need to be worried about your uncle that comes over to babysit your kids too much. Like, those are the people, like, you need to be worried about. Not people who came here to try to, like, live a better life. Crime exists everywhere and in all different demographics. Like, removing a group of people will not remove crime from our country. Like, what it will do is, once again, remove resources. And also, it's just fucking inhumane. Anyways, it's inhumane, and it's just the beginning. LA is just test ground. You think that the second most populated city in the United States that also resides in the largest populated state, like, is trying to be infiltrated by the taken over by the administration to institute, like, martial law, send the Marines in? Like, you think that's a fucking coincidence? No. Because if they could get California's gonna set the tone. If they can get California, who else can they get? Where can they go next? New York? Chicago? If you take anything away from me, know that nothing is happening in a bottle. Everything is happening for a reason and by people strategically for their larger nefarious goals. First, it's the immigrants, and it's already started, but of course, like, next is rounding up and getting rid of all of the people that the white nationalists think are different than them and don't deserve to have fucking rights. This was maybe just a rant episode. There's been so much going on. I've had so much going on. There's so much going on in the world, and this is just where my head is at, and I wanted to write a Live from the End Times piece, but I just didn't think I had it in me to like coherently put words to the paper, so I thought, well, I'll just do a Live from the End Times podcast, and hopefully somebody, I'm sure many people are also feeling the same way that I am, and we all have been for a while, and it's like mentally draining, mentally exhausting, and then we disassociate, and then we ignore the problems, and we get into the cycle, and we put our head down, and we do all this different stuff, and avoid the problems in order for, once again, like, our mind is conditioned to protect us at all costs and for us to survive, and like that also means like feeling bad, so we like ignore or avoid or disassociate from the things that make us feel bad, but maybe we have to be fucking uncomfortable. Not maybe, we do. We do. And it's also hard because all of this is going on, and simultaneously, I'm doing really well. I'm doing really well. And excited and happy and thrilled to be on a new adventure. This is like a real old school Babblings host, where I like really like started Babblings as a podcast and just did these like video diaries, and I think I want to get back to that a little bit. I don't know, I'm feeling and finding my way with Babblings. I have a whole episode outlined called Fatphobic Brain Rot that I've had outlined for months, and actually like one of the things I was going to talk about, like the immigration stuff, and it's just like, and it's still going on and getting like just even worse, which was crazy. But I'll probably get that out. Yeah. I just wanted to come on here and babble and get something up for Babblings, because it is something that makes me happy and makes me feel connected to people, and I love you guys. And I wish I had my tarot cards with me. I should have grabbed them so I could do a card for us. Back. You can't see me because it's pitch black, but if you're on the podcast, you can hear me. All right, let's pull a card for you lovelies for this week. What do you need to keep in your head? What do you need to carry you forward? Okay. Strength and the Seven of Wands came out. Can you see it a little bit? Strength and the Seven of Wands. Well, it's actually it's very clear, but we need to just remain, and this I think can speak to everything that I just talked about, and speaking to like everything I just talked about, like in a larger sense, we need to remain strong, and we need to remain vigilant, and we need to keep fighting, and we need to keep going and fight for what's right, and have strength of heart, and remain kind, and kind to ourselves, and show up from a place of love, while still like continuing to fight even when we're tired. And then if this could also relate to like more specific things of just maybe needing, somebody needs to be patient. You need to keep going, but maybe be patient and be kinder to yourself as you continue. And maybe you felt like you just keep fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. But the message is to find, you know, some patience in the trials. Like, not patience, but like find, like, instead of like trying to be, you know, a dead horse with a stick, like maybe try to come at something from a different angle, or maybe take a step back and find patience, or like find a different way to like express like difficulty or like conflict that you may be feeling, and like just like keep having faith. Like Lovers is also on the bottom, and so there's also maybe like some choices to make here, and like maybe needing to like make a choice to Two of Wands is on the bottom, so we're definitely like, there is some sort of like needing to like choose a path that you're taking. King of Swords and the Three of Cups came out. Four of Wands, Magician on the bottom, Page of Wands, and Ten of Pentacles. There's a bit of like meaning of like also encouraging you to find balance between being, you know, analytical and strategic and thinking and planning ahead, and like fighting for like what you want, but also like being kind to yourself and like having fun like with your family and enjoying like your community and like enjoying your life. So wait, isn't that what I just talked about having a hard time with? Wait, doesn't that just like correlate to what the fuck I just went on about for like 30 fucking minutes? Okay, take it if it resonates. It could resonate also to like something like very more, like much more specific, like a much smaller, not smaller, but a more day-to-day problem than like the kind of like, oh, like larger like life things that I was talking about, and like global things. It could also be talking about something much more like day-to-day, like smaller scale, closer to home, especially with the Four of Wands. It's like home and family. Yeah. The Magician with, you're just like, maybe you're like me, we're like creating something. And maybe this is just for me. Sometimes it resonates with me, sometimes it doesn't, and this is definitely resonated with me, so maybe this is just for me. But if it resonates for you, take what does and leave what doesn't. There's usually some sort of small message in there for you somewhere. Our guides and ancestors and angels and the universe and our higher selves speak to us through multitudes of small and sneaky ways that only we would know. So you'll know if you know. Alright, you can't see me, but I'm telling you that I love you, and I'm waving goodbye. If you're listening, thank you so much for listening to Babblings. If you are on the podcast, make sure that you are subscribed, like. I'd love a rating. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, like, and comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, check out my Substack, links below. We are about to enter into a brand new era once again of Babblings that I am very, very, very excited about, and maybe reaching our greatest final form yet. Oh, the wind agrees. Do you hear the wind? The wind agrees. All right. Love you. Night.